One, two, three. You want me to explain who I am? I'm Jim Harrison. I'm a person of very little importance, but I like reading. And actually, this is the first book I ever got on snakes. It actually was published in 1956, and it's the first book I learned to read from because I was a child who hated to read. So my dad got me the book, and the first chapter that the 8th chapter of the book is what got me really interested, and it starts out with danger. So it was time to feed the baby rattlesnake again. He was one of 4 timber rattlesnakes born in the laboratory and ate readily every time I fed him. I dropped a mouse into the cage. At once the little snake started to rattle, and like a flash struck. The mouse took a few steps and fell over on its side. In a few minutes he was dead. What did the venom do to make the little mouse die so quickly? And does the venom of all snakes act the same way? Different venoms affect animals differently. One venom may destroy the blood corpuscles and the small blood vessels so that the creature bleeds to death inside. That's what happened to the little mouse. Another venom may slow or stop the action of the heart or the lungs or both. With such venoms, death is generally even faster. Or the venom may affect the blood as well as the heart or the lungs, which is what most snake venoms do. Human beings are, of course, affected the same way as animals, but luckily people don't always die when they are bitten by venomous snakes. For the power, or as we say, the potency of the venoms differs, and amount of venom that is enough to kill a small animal is generally not enough to kill a human being. It is only when the venom is very potent that the snake bite can kill a man. Now we have to admit that in the world there are many snakes that have potent kind of venom, a single drop of which will kill a human being. Yet the danger from snakes is not nearly so great as people think. Of course, in a country like India, where many go barefoot and where to certain people some of the deadly snakes are sacred animals that it mostly mustn't be killed, death from snake bite is common. In the country, some 10,000 people may die every year. But throughout the United States today, snake bite isn't common at all. Extremely few people die even when they are bitten. Except for the coral snake, there is small and secretive, and so isn't very troublesome in any way. Our venomous serpents, rattlesnakes, moccasins, copperheads don't have the most potent kind of venom. Our most dangerous snake is the western diamondback rattlesnake because its venom, while not the worst there is quite potent. But rattlesnakes fortunately give a warning rattle, so often there is time to get out of the way. Many more people in this country are bitten by copperheads than by any other venomous snake, and the bite of a copperhead is very seldom fatal. Today, there aren't nearly so many deaths from snake bite the world over as there were just a few years ago. For now, we have a remedy against snake bite. Serum has been developed to counteract snake venom. To make this life-saving serum, a small amount of snake venom is first injected into horses. Over several months, bigger and bigger doses are injected. The horse's resistance to the venom is slowly built up until finally it doesn't affect them anymore. They become immune to it, as we say. Some horses' blood is then drawn off. A serum is made out of a certain part of it. A person who has been bitten by the venomous serpent can have the serum injected into himself so that the snake's venom may be neutralized. There's a different serum for different kinds of snake venom. In Asia, the lives of thousands of people bitten by cobras has been saved by cobra serum. In Brazil, there is a serum against the bite of bushmaster and another for the jararaca and its relatives. Still others are for the tropical rattlesnake and the coral snake. Because of all these remedies, death from snake bite in Brazil has been cut by more than half. In our country, we have never had more than about 100 deaths a year. And since the anti-venomous serum was developed, we have no more than 10 to 20 deaths a year. The serum we use is not for any one kind of venom. Our serum is a combination of poisons of rattlesnakes, copperhead, water moccasins. The person bitten by a coral snake will not be helped by the serum, but few people are bitten by this deadly creature, and scientists have not yet developed a serum against its poison. You might ask how we get the snake venom in the first place when we want to make the serum. We get it by milking snakes. That's where the word milking came from. I myself once helped milk some moccasins. We picked the snakes up carefully behind the head, forced open the mouth. Here's a picture.
Okay.
Forced open the mouth, then we held the upper jaw directly over the cup, which was covered by tightly stretched piece of cloth. The snake bit into the cloth and the venom ran down the cup. We squeezed the venom glands while milking so as to get as much venom as possible from each snake. The venom itself looks perfectly harmless and you would never suspect it to be dangerous. It is just a clear, thick whitish or yellowish liquid. It's solid, it spoils readily, but when dried it forms into crystal-like solids that remain potent for years. What should you do to prevent being bitten by a venomous snake, and what should you do if you get bitten? The first place you should learn what kinds of snakes there are in your particular region, whether any of them are venomous. Then you should find out what venomous kinds look like, and it's not very good English, for there is no one way to tell a venomous snake from a harmless one. Through some people's thinking, there is. That line is not a very well written line. That was hard to read. Look at the head. They will tell you. If it's triangular, the snake is poisonous. This isn't true. Venomous snakes do have triangular heads, but many do not. Best way to get acquainted with venomous snakes in your region is to visit the nearest zoo or museum. At the same time, you can learn to recognize the harmless kinds too. Then when you do go out into places where you may come across a venomous snake, wear heavy shoes or preferably boots. If you are hiking in rocky places, watch where you put your unprotected hands. It is a good idea to carry a first aid snake bite kit outfit in your pocket. Now, I will say this disclaimer, the stuff I'm about to read was from 1956 and is no longer used. If you are bitten, which is very unlikely, provided you are careful, don't get panicky. In the first place, it may not have been a venomous snake that bit you. If nothing happens within 10 minutes of the bite, you can be sure the snake was harmless. For a bite from a venomous serpent takes effect quickly. In a few minutes, there is a burning pain. Soon there is a distinct swelling. However, if you are sure it was a venomous snake that bit you, and if pain develops, still you don't have to get panicky. Remember that death from snake bite in this country is extremely rare. Start working on the bite. And here's where we go with the stuff that we would never do. The first thing to do is to prevent the venom from getting very far. You can do that by making a tourniquet. And they show you how to make a tourniquet.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And in some of these, they show you how to do an arterial tourniquet, which meant losing the whole limb. The tourniquet will prevent the venom, not really, or very much of it from going to the rest of the body. Once the tourniquet is placed, Cuts should be made over the fang marks to get out the venom at the place of the bite. A one-edged razor blade is the best instrument for this. A little commentary, I've seen people who've done that and they've ended up with fingers that are no longer functional because they cut tendons, so it's not advisable. Then someone should suck out the venom. Has to be a really good friend. This may be done by mouth, but the person doing it must have no cuts in their mouth. For the venom does not harm if it is swallowed. It has harmful effects only when it gets into the bloodstream directly through a cut, or the venom may be drawn out by applying a suction cup that comes with the first aid kit. Meantime, a doctor should be urgently sent for, and he will continue the suction and will give you other treatments such as anti-venomous serum as it is needed. So even though a lot of the facts in this are not still applicable, there is things in here that got me started. The whole idea of the venoms, being curious about how they kill stuff and how it can save lives. So that book helped me get interested, and I kind of went from there to Dittmer's books, and everybody's reading Dittmer's books and Cofield's books because those are ones that, and I actually have the original copy of Conant's field guide. It's duct taped, because duct tape fixes everything. It's duct taped because the binder's falling apart. I used it for so long to identify snakes. So I have the field guide, Conant's field guide, still the original one that I got when I was 6 years old. So my dad figured I'd better know how to identify snakes because I started picking them up and everybody reacted like I was catching Godzilla. But this book is really something that I like a lot, and I'm not going to read a whole bunch of it. But the reason I like this book is that I met Dr. Sherman Minton when I was 16 years old, and he talked to me like I was a human being. And he corrected me when I was screwing up, and I listened. And so he was a great human being, him and Madge. And actually, I didn't ask him to autograph it, but he took it off my bookshelf and autographed it for me. So he was a great gentleman. But I want to read a little bit of the preface of this book. Since the dawn of human thought, venomous reptiles have had a powerful hold on man's imagination and have strongly influenced his beliefs and actions. In one way or another, these animals impinge upon the lives of millions of people. In reality, they are a menace to some as creatures of superstition and legend. They affect many more. We have tried to present venomous reptiles both as they are and as man has imagined them. And this book is both a summary of scientific knowledge about poisonous snakes and lizards and their venoms, and a glimpse of the intriguing ways in which the mystique of venomous reptiles has been interwoven in the fabric of human culture. Our own relationship with reptiles has been marked by variety. We have collected them in forests, deserts of Indiana, to New South Wales. We have scuba dived for venomous snakes under the waters of the Timor Sea and the Barrier Reef. We have extracted venom from snakes and treated victims of their bites. We have discussed the possibility that cobras are jinjas with the, I can't pronounce this tribe, but it's a tribe of southern Asia, and the possibility that mole vipers are not really vipers with herpetologists. Reptiles well known to zoologists and particularly to herpetologists are referred to in the text by their English names only. For those who wish to know the technical and non-nomenclature, a complete list of scientific names of the time is in here. In units of measure, the English system is used for large measurements such as lengths of snakes, for smaller measurements such as fang lengths, weights of venom and yields, and lethal doses, the most precise units of metric system have been used. Average American reader can more easily visualize a 6-foot cobra than an 180 centimeter cobra. On the other hand, it seems neater to compare weights of 50 to 100 milligrams rather than 0.721 and 1.543 grains. Conversions of the measurements and weights from the metric to English system, see the table. Our thanks to many people who have given very valuable assistance and credits for illustrations in this book. So this is a book that everybody should have who is interested in venomous snakes. You know, all research is, you know, fluid. So, not everything in here is going to be exact. It's just like the argument people have about poisonous snakes. If you notice, he called poisonous snake. That's because the general public call them poisonous. And Sherman always said, don't beat people over the head with your education. He said, try to educate them. So that's the most important thing. And I want to encourage people to read. I mean, get off the internet and start reading and asking questions.
Show people the card you have there.
Oh, this card.
They want to, I'm sure people will get a kick out of that.
I got this at Ross Allen's Institute.
Wait, it's sideways.
Oh, it's sideways?
Yep, there you go.
Is it upside down now?
Yeah, no, it's good.
Cottonmouth standing on its head.
Is there anything written on the back?
Yeah. Yeah, there's stuff written on the back, but it's really, really old and starting to fall apart. Western cottonmouth.
Yeah.
But this was a group of cards that I picked up at Silver Springs when I was a kid.
Yeah, I just figured people would be amused.
Yeah, I don't know if there's some others wandering around. This was copyrighted in 1963. I was born in 1958. So.